You see, the funny thing is that you have to know your own stuff, okay? Because the thing is, the moment that you start to follow other people's stuff, not only are you giving your power away, but you are not realizing that you as an individual, okay, you have to know what works for you, okay? As far as the stuff we consume, you see, what we perceive as our reality is really coming from inside, but it's mostly coming from your gut, okay? That's why they say all health starts in the gut, okay? Health is a mental state as well, okay? So if all health starts in the gut, what's in your gut? You have trillions of bacteria in your gut, all right? And no different than a petri dish, you keep all these different cultures in a certain state for them to thrive. And if you notice, even when we look at it physically outside of us, there's different cultures, different people, okay, that follow certain cultures because that's what works for them. You know what I'm saying? And not every culture is gonna say this culture is something that I'm going to follow. You know what I'm saying? There's different people, there's different blood types, there's different types of mentalities out there. Okay, and one thing is that when we talk about attack on the heart chakra, the attack on the heart chakra comes in from, you know, basically everything that you could perceive as far as emotional attacks, as far as, you know, keeping you in survival, fight or flight and whatnot. It's basically what it does is it closes out that gateway, which is basically to the realms that are next in line after the heart chakra. Okay, and that's because they're imbalanced from, you know, from the roots, which is basically your root chakra, your sacral plexus, your creativity's attacked and whatnot. But then next to it, that right there is your solar plexus, which is your processing center, no different than a compost bin that you have in your garden. Now, when you have these compost bin, okay, you put organic matter in there. So I'll put food scraps in there. And the interest is to have these food scraps decompose in there with the help of these microorganisms, these little insects or bacteria that eat the organic matter, break it down, and then they actually expel the waste, and that's the nutrients that you put on the soil to your plants, okay? So here's the thing though. We think we're eating very, very healthy as far as like just certain pieces of information that we listen to or even foods that we listen to. Because you see, here's the thing. One thing I can't help but to notice before I even get into the food part is that I'm listening to, like, you know, some YouTube videos, and I disconnect from YouTube for a portion and then I go back on. But when I do go on YouTube, I'll notice that these big these big YouTube channels, I mean, it's no different than you watching the news on TV. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about mind viruses and just starting to prep for like something, okay, as far as like something that's, you see, what's happening right now? Right now, I'm in my car and I'm peaceful, okay? There's an inner peace within me, okay? I feel happy. I feel fine, okay? From here, I can pretty much look ahead only because I can also look back to where I've been to get me to this point. With much abundance and appreciation, I can know where the fuck I'm going, okay? But if I am looking to a future that's injected in my mind, okay? Because what's happening is that not only is just listening to shit a fucked up way of receiving information because of the language is being very limited. Not only that, but it also disempowers you when you use certain words. If you're not aware and conscious of the intent behind how you use them, then you watching YouTube videos telling you that there's going to be this happening in 2021, there's this happening in 2021, and then they're telling you there's going to be food shortages, there's going to be basically... See, here's the thing. Awakening is inevitable. It's just at what level are you going to be at when this awakening happens? Are we going to wait till the world looks like the movie Mad Max? You know what I'm saying? Where everything looks like there's a big war, chaos and everything. And then what happens when things are under that condition? You know what I'm saying? So one thing is this, okay? You put the aliens in your body with the food you eat, okay? We always talk about, you know, oh, the mind is all, and you could transmute anything, and you could alchemize things. But here's the thing, though. You could do all that, but it's no different than if you're eating apples and all these things I'm noticing from the supermarkets that are very hard to break down for some strange reason, because I grow food, and for some reason the food that I grow breaks down and goes bad a hell of a lot faster than anything I buy in the supermarket. And that's because whatever's in the supermarket is treated with certain chemicals to extend the shelf life. Okay? So break this down. How about if I'm eating McDonald's fries or burgers and you see that there's been videos that say that these things can stay out for like a year and they don't disintegrate or break down? That's a problem, okay? Because then if you're putting it in your body, how is your body able to break this down if it's not even broken down in your physical reality? If you can't break it down and you're putting it into this metaphysical machine inside of you, you know what I'm saying? Then how could that be broken down by the body? we talk about the nutrient part of it, okay? So it breaks it down. We always eat certain foods and say this food is good for this liver, the liver, this food is good for your brain, this food is good for your eyes. But if things are sprayed with a chemical to extend the shelf life, which the interest is in a profit, which is basically money, there's no interest in keeping you healthy, you know what I'm saying? Then what do you think is happening? You eat these things and it's harder for the body to break it down, okay? Because the whole point is that things are supposed to break down. You eat it when it's at its peak, which is basically ripe, and then you eat the food. You know what I'm saying? And there's enough food for everybody based on how many things I see that contain so many seeds in just one piece of fruit, which I already got seeds germinating right now. I'm getting ready for spring right now. And I'm not gardening because I'm prepping for doomsday prepping or nothing like that. Okay, I'm gardening because I love it. I've been gardening before this whole dumb shit was even a thing. That, oh, you know, there's this coming out and COVID happened. None of that shit. You know what I'm saying? What's funny enough is that I had these praying mantises lay 2 egg sacs in my yard, and in the middle of December, in one of these hot, warmer days in December, they hatched, and I was like concerned because I'm like, yeah, how the fuck are they gonna survive the frost? So I took a few in and I'm taking care of a few. I have 9 of them. I gave 9 to my brother-in-law and they're already on their 3rd molt. Molt is basically, they shed their skin and they just get bigger. And I mean, that right there to me is something that I can consider it healing your heart chakra. You know what I'm saying? So your heart chakra is an anagram for earth, okay? And earth is mother nature, mother's nurture. So I took these mantises in and I'm taking care of them. But I'm doing it with love. Why am I doing it? You know what I'm saying? I found them interesting creatures. I knew nothing about praying mantises, yet I have them in my kitchen right now. And I'm feeding them, keeping them warm. And then by the time the summertime comes, I'm going to let them loose in my yard. You know what I'm saying? To let them grab out whatever. Today, I actually gave them waxworms. They've been eating those little wingless fruit flies. And I have videos on that, but on my phone, I'll see if I can upload them to YouTube. But now today I upgraded them to waxworms and it's amazing. You know what I'm saying? It's really, really amazing. You know, gardening, you taking care of plants with love. You know what I'm saying? You get an understanding of how these plants react to certain things and what they need without you, and just by looking at them, you know what I'm saying? And you just have a feeling just by looking at them what they need. And you don't even have to do research anymore. You just have a knowing of these things that you need to do. And it's no different than you taking care of your child with love. You know what I'm saying? Taking care of your dog with love. And this all heals the heart chakra. You know what I'm saying? It heals the heart chakra. You're not a slave to the land. You're not a slave to your family. You're not a slave to these insects. You know what I'm saying? You do it because you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, then don't do shit. You get what I'm saying? But it heals the heart chakra. Now, if you want to heal your gut, okay, you have to take care of the bacteria that's in your stomach the same way, with love and attention to how you feel. You get what I'm saying? Because I noticed that there's certain foods you eat that will literally manifest the mind chatter in your mind, and it's uncontrollable and unstoppable, okay? And why is this? It's just like an internal war. I made a video on the alien invasion. The alien invasion basically comes down to the type of foods that you eat, but it's all about, let's say, for example, the animals that, because if you look at mantises, you look at certain animals in the wild, they won't eat the animal unless the animal is dead. I mean, unless the animal's alive. If the animal's dead, they won't eat it. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's like one of those garbage disposal animals like crows or vultures and whatnot, which are very intelligent animals as well. They serve their purpose. But in actuality, the majority, we're animals too. We're humans. We're part of the animal kingdom. But we're the only one of the species that likes to eat dead things. You know what I'm saying? And I can tell you I put this to the test because I ate eggs from the farm that were freshly hatched, but I ate them raw. And there is a surge of energy that you feel. There is a feeling that you feel when you eat these things with the life force still in it. You know what I'm saying? The vibration is still high. The fruits that you eat from your garden, the herbs, all these things that are freshly picked, you'll feel a difference. If you sit down and really pay attention when you're eating these foods, you'll feel an energy surge. You'll feel an expansion of your consciousness. You're a little clearer when you sleep and you have these dreams. You're able to remember them a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? There's no distortions, because the thing is, they're coming from like God. In actuality, you know what I'm saying? Anything genetically modified, if your body's trying to utilize that as information, let's say if things aren't broken down in your body because they have a long time to actually break down outside and decay, then what's happening when you're putting them in your system that your body can't fully process it because it's not easily broken down? No different than when you listen to information and you don't understand. Somebody says, let me break it down for you. The reason for that is so that you can easily digest the information because you're always eating. So if you're eating information through your ears, okay, then you need to have it a way where you can process it, or if not, the person giving it to you can break it down for you so you can understand it. And then you let it sit with you. I don't know if that didn't sit well with me. So maybe it didn't sit well with you, it changed your mood. No different than when you eat the foods, it's considered a download like you download something in a computer. All right? Know how long a file takes to download. Because the thing is, people think that animal meat, and I eat animal meat, so I'm not a vegan, I'm not promoting that shit, but when you eat animal meat, be conscious that it takes literally 2 days for the shit to fully process. And people think it's just meat, but it's also fish and chicken. Okay, it takes 2 days to fully process, and the reason why is because of the complex molecules that the body has to, pull apart to utilize as information so that it can give the respective nutrients to whatever you will learn that, oh, it's good for your eyes, your liver, your kidneys, or whatever it may be. You get what I'm saying? But if things aren't fully processed and you're putting something else in because you didn't let the body fully process that download, then what happens? You start to store shit, goes in the colon, goes in the kidneys. No different than you have a phone or a computer full of applications and it slows down because now it has a lot of things running, instead of closing out certain programs. You know what I'm saying? So that's why when you meditate, you clear your mind and then you feel better when you're in your external world, but you will also pay attention to certain things that you manifest in your reality. You see, when you eat food, all these bacteria that live in you is how you perceive your reality. So that's why you take care of it the same way. You heal your heart, you heal your gut. You know what I'm saying? They're right next door. Okay? The sun is the generator of what you perceive here because it's generating all the particles that you collapse into existence because everything else is just potential waves. Okay? You don't see nothing inside of you. They're just potential waves. Okay? But you go by the feeling part of it. You're seeing things out here. You can't see what's inside of you. So what do? You go by the feeling of it. If you disconnect your sight outside here, you start to see how you feel in your external world as well without just looking at it and coming to a conclusion of how it makes you feel. Just close your eyes sometimes and just see how things feel. You know what I'm saying? No different than you picking up a fruit or even a crystal in one of those spiritual shops, and you can see how you can feel the vibration of certain things. You know what I'm saying? And that's you exercising these superpowers that we are told we have. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things that you have intuitive feelings that you may not pay attention to, and then all of a sudden they get discarded, and then that starts to atrophy that thing. Now you start to go more into seeing is believing than believing in is actually seen. You know what I'm saying? You start to trust what you're seeing, which is basically seen with the illusion eyes, okay? Then you start to atrophy what you're with your real eye. You know what I'm saying? What you realize. And then what happens is that this is not just about, because it's a gland. You know what I'm saying? And the foods we eat affect our glands in our body. No different. Your thyroid gland is responsible for metabolism. If you eat a certain way, okay, then you're going to affect your thyroid gland. If you drink too much caffeine or stimulate your endocrine glands, then you're going to fatigue them. It's the same thing when you listen to information that doesn't really serve you, or you're observing with artificial light certain pieces of things that you see out here as information. They start to affect the pineal gland. Okay, there's certain chemicals that affect the pituitary gland. Okay, and the whole thing is that if you're not fasting, you're not letting the system reset, okay, or clear itself out, because you don't have to really do anything. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you why this is actually very important. Sometimes when you're fasting, you're speeding things up. You're not doing anything. That means you're not eating food. You're letting the body just chill out. You could take a little time to slow down. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being always in the hustle and bustle. Because here's the thing, though. If you don't consciously slow down, then you will be forced to slow down. And that's where the body puts you in a disease state where you have to just chill out. And if you don't detox your body, what ends up happening? You may manifest a stomach virus or some dumbass virus to make you slow down and not eat, rest. And that's a natural detox. Funny enough that, I don't get sick. But this year, I was fucked up twice already. One, I had a respiratory infection, which happened in March, right before the whole pandemic was declared with COVID. And then I had a stomach virus, up like a week ago. Okay? Where I was forced to slow down. and I laid down and I couldn't eat. But the whole week I was just shitting like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But then again, I looked at it as a blessing in disguise. I had 101 fever. Okay. Funny enough, it kills the bad shit in your system. That's why the fever goes up. You kill the bad bacteria, the bad infection in your body, and then, but it doesn't touch the good bacteria. You know what I'm saying? And then what's funny is that when you don't eat, you're doing, that's a natural enema. All that shit that came out of my body that entire week I didn't eat, which is basically coming out of my system. It was like a natural enema, a natural detox. I didn't have to do an enema. It just basically happened on its own. Now what happens? Dumbass fucking people sometimes want to go to the doctor. The doctor tells you you need an antibiotic because you have an infection or you have a stomach bug. And what ends up happening is that, yeah, you kill the bad guys, but you're also killing the good guys that you're trying to reset. So what do you have to do? Now you have to go out and consume probiotics, which is foreign alien, which I took a probiotic one time and that shit fucked my stomach up. And why is that? Because I already have good bacteria in my stomach. And I do all these things by experiment. You know what I'm saying? And you can have your own theories about shit, you know what I'm saying? And your own little analogies and your own little beliefs behind a bunch of things. Because I notice that sometimes I'll say certain things and people jump in and they want to give their own opinion on things. Which, honestly, I really don't care what your opinions are. The reason I say this, there's different cultures. There's different people out here. People have certain religious beliefs, let's say, or certain cultures follow certain things or routines that are basically passed down from ancestors, okay? So why would I say that we are all exactly the same? You know what I'm saying? No, we're not all exactly the same. There's different pH levels. There's different people. And there's certain things that work for certain people and other things don't work for certain people. You know what I'm saying? That's why, for example, the only thing that you should really pay attention to is how you feel. How does your gut feel? Do you feel good? Because a lot of people say, I got good digestion, okay? But they still feel full in their bottom. Just because you're going to the bathroom every day doesn't mean that you are, you know, completely clear of whatever your body has in store. It's good to from time to time detox. No different than you do a tune-up on your car. You know what I'm saying? You take the old oil out and then you put new oils in, change the filters and whatnot, and that's it. Your car runs better. It's the same thing. You'll run a lot better, and people think, oh, it's all in the mind and whatnot. It's cool. That's 100% fact. Yeah, it is all in the mind. Okay? But how can you pretty much engage in meditation if you feel like shit? You know what I'm saying? When you feel, okay, like you're cluttered or you feel pains, anxiety, how easy is it to meditate? Don't all these things in your mind start to fucking manifest into mind chatter? Don't these little pains start bugging you when you're just sitting in a certain position? You know what I'm saying? So it's good to keep your body aligned, energies aligned, so that you have a free flow of energy. All right? So awakening is inevitable. You know what I'm saying? We're all, and whatever that means to you, obviously, because that right there is just basically something that nobody even really knows what it really means. The same way love. Nobody really knows what love means. We just pass that word around like we know what it means. But, you know, I was watching one of Brother Panic's videos, and he was talking about that love is all. You know what I'm saying? Love is everything. And yeah, love is everything. All right, but what kind of love is it? You know what I'm saying? There's so many different meanings to that word love. Okay? In my opinion, healing the heart, you'll basically start to understand what love is. Start to do something with a passion. You know what I'm saying? Like I just told you about the praying mantis. I told you about the gardening part. And these are not things that everybody has to do. These are just things that I happened to move out of New York, which was one state, to another state, which is North Carolina. It's kind of like I look at it as states of being, because my state of being was completely different in New York than it is now in North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? And when I came here, I just really got into gardening. But I was not even remotely close to being into gardening in New York because, for one, there's nothing there to look at but concrete jungle. Nothing but squares and fucking concrete and buildings, and that's it. But over here, everything looked a lot more open space, more nature. You know what I'm saying? And it made me fall in love with growing food. When I first came here, I just saw like these viney morning glories, fell in love with them. And then all of a sudden, it just made me fall in love with gardening. But it didn't start from food. I actually just started growing morning glories and certain, viney plants. And then all of a sudden, I got into food. And now it just became a passion of mine to grow food. I just picked out, I'll show you a picture. I picked out, and we're at almost at the end of, what month are we in? We're in January. Almost at the, we're more than halfway through January. You know what I'm saying? And I picked out a nice little harvest of sweet potatoes. Okay, and I'll show you that right now. I'm gonna flip the camera over so you guys can see this. All right, this was literally 2 days ago. Okay, look at that. Nice little harvest of sweet potatoes. That's when I had them in a bag. You know what I'm saying? These are things I picked out that are growing in my house because these don't survive frost. The hibachi eggplants and a couple of those little hot peppers. You know what I'm saying? And look, and the beans, I grew the beans myself too. Ate it with some jasmine rice, and that's it. It's good. You know what I'm saying? Look, I put them in a pot, boiling them, and that's basically what I've been eating. You know what I'm saying? And it feels good when you can grow something and then, you know, eat it from your own garden. And believe it or not, all right, I mean, talk about B12 bacteria and whatnot. Bacteria, as I've mentioned, is actually a bacteria that lives in your system, but the conditions have to be right. And when their conditions are right, they stay in your system, which are responsible for red blood cell formation, okay, carbohydrate metabolism, neurological functions, energy. And why is that? Because, I mean, here's the thing, when your body's too acidic, what ends up happening, we start to think we need calcium, and you know, we have that abundant element in our body at the highest form, you know what I'm saying? But it starts to draw it from the bones when the body's too acidic. It starts to create an imbalance, you know what I'm saying? And just knowing these little simple things, you'll start to know that moderation is key, and you'll start to prioritize, okay? The same way you have a garden. If you want healthy plants, if you want beautiful garden, then you need to prioritize the soil. Okay, the conditions of the soil. Now, if me, for example, if I want to be healthy and I want to thrive, flourish, clear mentality, you know, I have to have a clear gut. I have to have a good gut. All right, because that bacteria in there determines my nutrient absorption. It determines my perception on life. Okay, and I'm gonna make another video just based on experiences as to how everything could be an attack on the heart. And you would think you're in the perfect state of being at the perfect moment in time, and then something comes and fucks up the mood that you were originally in. But then it's up to you to maintain your frame and stand your ground. Now, the crazy part here is that these things are not just manifested because you think that, oh, I'm in a perfect state of being, I'm in a high vibration, how do I attract this in my life then? You know what I'm saying? No, because there's still aspects within you that need work. And that's you. When they say life tests you, this is basically you are basically showing yourself if you have done enough of the work to maintain that frame. Because yes, less is more. And that's what I'm going to talk about in the next video. Very, very important, because sometimes doing less takes so much more than actually going out and exerting so much energy to do something, because you're nourishing something called the fucking ego. And in actuality, if you nourish something else, which is basically your soul, your spirit, and your righteous nature, then what happens? Everything else, all these other parasites or these things that potentially could fuck your life up, will actually start to fall apart because you're starving them. All right? So, and have the right beneficial shit in place. Because the thing is that when you replace one thing, you replace it with something better. Okay? But how do you do that? You do that by what serves you. What makes you feel better. Okay? And we'll talk soon.